Before we get to the stocks you're here for, let's acknowledge two caveats. 1. Choosing the best stocks to buy today heavily depends on your personal financial situation. To get a feel for where you stand, read our guide on how to invest in stocks. It walks you through topics such as establishing an emergency fund, allocating assets, and when it makes sense to buy stocks. 2. While I ensured some variety, the list below isn't meant to be a fully diversified portfolio. Instead, they're my highest conviction stocks to outperform in 2022 and beyond. The best one-step way to diversify your holdings is to build the core of your portfolio around something like the Vanguard Total World Stock Index Fund ETF, NYSEMKT:VT. That's the ultimate stock if you're going to buy just one investment and don't want to mess with picking among individual stocks. You can just set it and forget it, knowing that you've got literally thousands of stocks from around the world working for you. Now let's get to my list of the best 10 stocks to buy for 2022, from smallest market cap to largest, followed by the summary by thesis for each one. Elevator pitches for each stock. Now that you've seen my top 10 list, you may be wondering why I picked each company. Here's a quick rundown of why I'm such a fan of each of them as a long-term investment. Teladoc Health. Already a growing force, telehealth got a big boost during the coronavirus pandemic. After all, the barrier to a remote doctor's visit is much higher than buying your first roll of toilet paper on Amazon. Teladoc is a leader in digital health. Its merger with chronic condition specialist Livongo, NASDAQ:LVGO, signals its intention to expand deep into the medical ecosystem. The company has done a great job of innovating and creating sustainable growth, and the industry is still in its relative infancy. Pinterest. Pinterest is an oasis of positivity in a social media landscape that's grown increasingly depressing and divisive. That partially flows from what Pinterest is about, ideas. People go to Pinterest to focus on things, not on other people. Whether it's building a dream deck, baking a kid's birthday cake, or updating your wardrobe, Pinterest gives people visual inspiration for the things they want to get done. The knock against Pinterest, despite its solid community and sales growth, has been a lack of Facebook, NASDAQ:FB level monetization. This is especially true internationally, which accounts for 80% of its user base. But that's what I love about Pinterest. It's got the platform and the audience, and it's really easy to envision how seamless advertising, lead generation, and product placement could be when people are already there for suggestions. Etsy. Etsy was growing nicely before the pandemic by connecting crafty makers with customers looking for something a bit more out of the ordinary than mainstream e-commerce fare. During the pandemic, all e-commerce was given a huge boost, but Etsy absolutely skyrocketed, growing at more than twice the rate of overall e-commerce. It certainly helped that Etsy was a natural fit when people wanted unique face masks, but its growth has been impressive across all product categories. As you may notice throughout this list, powerful platforms get my attention. Make no mistake, Etsy is one. Few e-commerce companies go head-to-head with Amazon and survive. Etsy not only did that when Amazon rolled out its own handmade items platform. It won. Because of its platform and brand strength, Etsy's market opportunity is in the hundreds of billions of dollars, and it has just started to scratch the surface. Mercado Libre. Mercado Libre is often referred to as the Amazon of Latin America, and for good reason. The company operates an e-commerce marketplace that has a dominant presence in some of the most populous nations in the region, including Brazil and Argentina. However, there's a lot more to Mercado Libre. It operates a fast-growing payments platform called Mercado Pago, a logistics service called Mercado Envios, a business lending platform, and more. Mercado Libre isn't just the Amazon of Latin America. It's the Amazon, PayPal, NASDAQ:PYPL, Square, Shopify, NYSE:/Shop, and more of Latin America all rolled into one and at a much earlier stage of growth. Sea Limited. Sea Limited is rapidly growing into a powerhouse in Southeast Asia. The company operates the large Garena digital gaming platform, but the most promising growth drivers are its Shopee e-commerce platform and C-Money digital payments platform, both of which have been growing at triple-digit rates. With Garena, Shopee, and C-Money, C-Limited has three fast-growing and high-potential businesses. It is quickly becoming a leader in all three, both in its home region as well as in other key markets around the world. Block, formerly known as Square, has evolved from a niche payment processing hardware company to a massive financial ecosystem for merchants and individuals. On the merchant side, Block has about $160 billion in annualized payment volume flowing through its system, along with a suite of adjacent services for businesses. On the individual side, Block has the Cash App, with tens of millions of active users and capabilities that include person-to-person money transfers, direct deposits and debit cards, the ability to buy and sell stocks and Bitcoin, BTC, and much more. Block also recently acquired music app Tidal, as well as the Afterpay Buy Now, Pay Later platform. As its ecosystem evolves, the business will only get stronger. Intuitive Surgical. Robot-assisted surgery beats the shaky hands of humans. That general thesis hasn't changed much from when I first bought Intuitive Surgical stock in 2005. The Da Vinci surgical system is the clear market leader, and the razors and blades model helps it generate a recurring stream of revenue as its systems are used to perform procedures. Intuitive Surgical is dominant in its space, and it has lots of room to grow as its surgical systems increase in adoption and as the number of its supported procedures increases over time. Disney. The House of Mouse is the all-weather tires of a portfolio. The pandemic hurt its theme park and movie businesses but helped the Disney Plus streaming service, which has grown into a powerhouse years sooner than Disney expected. In 2022, demand for Disney's theme parks and movies is coming back stronger than ever. Disney Plus had a wow first year, and the company is rightly focusing on expanding it. In fact, Disney might be the ultimate combination of a reopening play and a pandemic-fueled growth business. Its amazing stable of intellectual property, Marvel, Star Wars, ESPN, Pixar, Disney, gives it a margin of safety that makes it perhaps the safest stock on this list. Still, it has tremendous growth potential as the newer areas of its business evolve. Berkshire Hathaway. While most of this list is made up of growth stocks, this is the relatively boring value pick of the bunch. Berkshire Hathaway owns a collection of about 60 subsidiary businesses, including household names such as GEICO, Duracell, and Dairy Queen, just to name a few. Berkshire also owns a more than $300 billion portfolio of common stocks that includes a massive stake in Apple, NASDAQ:AAPL, and it holds shares in dozens of other companies, many of which were hand-selected by legendary investor Warren Buffett himself. The Warren Buffett bears will say he has lost his fastball, but Berkshire continues to produce market-beating returns in most years despite its massive size. If Berkshire were a mutual fund, it would be the largest actively managed mutual fund in the world. To be sure, Buffett won't be at the helm forever. But Berkshire is Buffett's legacy, and he's been stress-proofing it for years to make sure it's in solid shape long after he's no longer running things. Showing his faith, he and partner Charlie Munger have been buying back shares at a historic clip. That's a good signal for the rest of us. Amazon. Amazon doesn't really need much of an elevator pitch for most people. The company has a dominant lead in the U.S. e-commerce market, and its Amazon Web Services cloud platform is also a market leader. However, more growth potential exists than you might think. We're a long way from maximizing e-commerce adoption. It still accounts for less than 15% of all U.S. retail sales. The cloud industry is relatively young as well. Plus, Amazon has a ton of potential in other areas such as healthcare, grocery stores, neighborhood markets, and more. Final takeaways for using this stock list. If you're starting on your investing journey, or if you want a sanity check, please read through our How to Invest in Stocks guide. It walks through all the basics, From how to get started to how to determine your personal investing strategy to how much of your money to invest in stocks. While I'm bullish on each of these stocks and have given you a little information on each, use this list. If you're just getting started, you'll also want to see the 15 best stocks for beginners. Start with the stocks that speak to you, and feel free to ignore the ones that don't. Good luck and fool on. 10 stocks that could be the biggest winners of the stock market crash. When our award-winning analyst team has an investing tip, it can pay to listen. After all, the newsletter they have run for over a decade, Motley Fool Stock Advisor, has quadrupled the market. Asterisk. They just revealed what they believe are the 10 best buys for investors right now, and while timing isn't everything, the history of their stock picks shows that it pays to get in early on their best ideas.